Welcome to the Big Freaking Change podcast, where we dive deep into the stories of those who took bold action, embraced uncertainty, and transformed their lives without ever feeling ready. I'm your host, Cara Moeller Poppitt, author of The Big Freaking Change and the creator of the Get Unstuck Cycle of Change model. Each week, we'll sit down with remarkable individuals who have taken bold steps in their lives, personally and professionally, to make meaningful change. Whether you're seeking a career shift, personal growth, or a boost in confidence, our goal is to inspire you to stop waiting and start taking action.
Welcome, everyone, to Big Freaking Change. My name is Cara Moeller Poppitt, and I'm your host. I'm delighted to be here today with a fellow dancer, choreographer, brilliant friend and person, deep soul, Mary Giattino. Welcome to our podcast, Mary.
Thank you, Cara. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here.
Mary, we have known each other for a while because we're both in the dance industry. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I didn't realize how big of a deal you were. When I read your bio, I was like, whoa, I need her autograph while I have her.
Girl, you do not need an autograph. We're thank you. That's very, very kind, very generous. No autograph. How about just some cheers? How about
I cheers to you, definitely. When I read your bio, I knew you were a big deal. I knew you danced on Broadway, you were a Rockette, but all of the shows and everything you're doing. So I want to read your bio because it's that impressive, Mary.
Okay.
So take it in, sister.
All right.
Okay. Mary is the proud owner of Stage Door School of Dance, located in Long Island, New York. Mary is also a studio growth coach inside the Dance Studio Owners Association Inner Circle. And in addition to her work with the studio owners and dancers at her school, she continues to make an impact in New York City professionally. I always tell Mary if she's ever short a dancer and needs a backup dancer, I'm her woman. As a performer, she has danced on Broadway, national tours, and with the Radio City Rockettes. After her performance career, she began working on the creative teams for many of the theater shows as an associate director and choreographer on Irving Berlin's White Christmas, Billy Elliot, and Fun Home. As assistant choreographer, she worked on both the NBC TV series Rise and Apple's TV show Dickinson's. Other assistant choreographer credits are Dear Evan Hansen and Kimberly Akimbu, both New York workshops, New York City Center Encore, productions of Lady Be Good, No No Nante, and of Three I Sing. As a tap teacher, Mary has been on faculty at Steps on Broadway, a guest teacher at Broadway Dance Center, and continues to teach guest artist classes at universities and dance studios all over the United States. Miss Mary, welcome, welcome, welcome. I was going to say, when I read your bio, what do you think? Are you like, wow, this was me, this is me?
I mean, I'm so grateful. It's interesting, when you go through life, whether it's career or school or an experience or a relationship, you're not really clocking it all as you're doing it. And you're experiencing things that are wonderful and sometimes not wonderful. And you're just chalking it up and you're saying, okay, this is my experience right now. And it's really not until I left the performance biz or that aspect of, theater where I realized, wow, I did a lot of things. And I'm so grateful. Honestly, it's just like being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people and forming those relationships and nurturing them. So it definitely makes me, I'm very proud and humbled to hear that all. And thank you, Cara. You're very, very kind.
Yeah, you are just one of my favorite souls. And the reason is because you have done all these amazing things and you're still so down to earth, and we could dance on a table and laugh our faces off. And I always joke around. I'm like, Mary, anytime you're short, Broadway dancer, like, it's my dream. And you live the dream.
It's going to happen. I will call you for that tall, beautiful, sexy ballroom dancer track.
Okay.
Be in one of my shows.
Okay, perfect. I'm waiting for you, Mary. Mary, I want to talk a little bit. Today, we're talking about big freaking change, right? We're talking about when life happens and we pivot either intentionally or, we are forced to move and forced to change. And you've had some big changes in your life. One, when you decided to take over a business, and you've done this so successfully, and now a growth coach inside the IC, and people look up to you because of your business acumen, the way you lead people. You're very organized, you're intentional, you see people for who they are, and you've had such great success. And when you shared your story with us about losing your husband, I couldn't believe that you could stand in so much power and so much presence. And I was like in awe of you. And then also having this compassion and understanding of, holy crap, all the stuff you went through. Can you speak a little bit to the significant changes that you've experienced in your life?
Yeah, I really am someone that I try to live my life in the present as best I can and take it day by day. And until I experienced some of these big freaking changes, literally, that was something I tried to live by. But until those moments happened and those huge changes, specifically losing my husband, it really kicks into high gear. And I realized just how precious all of this is. This conversation right now is precious. The sky, every hug, every love, every kiss, every book, every moment, every experience, every show I see. When death is close and you have no say in it, as we don't, right? We have no say. We have no say in that part of the other part of existence, the end of it. The lens focuses, let's just say, the lens really focuses on what's important, and to be present in this moment, in this day, in this conversation. I very much believe that we can heal, and we can heal from scary changes, and we can learn and grow from them, as well as amazing changes, incredible changes. And it's just taking those learnings and just one foot in front of the next, surrounding yourself with love. And that's what I did during that part of that time in my life. I was surrounded by so much love, true love, people who cared so much about me, about for my late husband. And they got me through it, and reading and groups and therapy and dance and music and art. So I'm very very cognizant of how precious all of this is, and just trying to stay grounded, as you said. Thank you. That's such a compliment. And stay humble, because it doesn't, you can save all of your money, and if you haven't enjoyed your life, what was the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Point. Spend it. Have some fun. Enjoy.
Totally. Yeah. I really admire how you have, I know, a typical day in your life. You always work out, you have your tea, you're very intentional with your time, you know your limits, you sleep. Yeah, you got your tea, I got my water and my coffee.
Right now, girl.
I know you don't do coffee. That's amazing. I do 1 cup a day, every day. I just need it. It's I just love it.
Right to the blood.
Yes. But talk to me about the importance of routine. And you don't just say it, you live it. Like you're very, very intentional and true to yourself, and you're protective of your boundaries. And I admire that about you. And boundaries are hard for a lot of us to set, especially women. So talk to me about how you've set this great system in your life, your day-to-day, and boundaries.
Boundaries is, I actually was just having this conversation last night with my parents, who are staying with me right now. They're visiting. And I was saying to them, this is something in my, I'd say, mid 30s, 40s that I'm focusing on in such a great way. And it's hard and it's scary, but really setting those boundaries, and taking care of myself. And I have to say, like, before my husband passed, I'd be lying if I said I had all of these boundaries and I had all of this discipline. I didn't. Like, my life flipped upside down. Everything I thought was to be and expected was done. It died. It died with my husband. And so that the structure, and hearing you say those the discipline. Well, okay, let me just say, as a dancer, I'm so grateful. Man, do we learn lessons that take through life and to make you a more grateful person. And one of them is discipline. So in order to attend dance class, it's like you need to be ready. You need to be in the mindset to learn, to be a sponge, to receive feedback, to show up day after day, week after week, year after year, to become an excellent dancer. And that's something I always strived for. So that type of discipline I've always had. The boundaries and the regiment of self-care, that is something that I feel I was gifted at 36 in losing my husband. That was something, it was like I finally could step into into what I needed and into that light of saying, everyone, I have to take care of myself. I'm so sorry. I'm about to disappoint a lot of people. And what did I disappoint them? No, they all understood. And the lesson is they would have understood prior to that too, had I just spoken my truth and stated what I needed. But horribly, I didn't know I needed that to happen, to take care of myself more as a woman, as a female, as a wife, I'm not a mother, but I'm a mother to many, many dancers.
Yes.
In my school. So the day-to-day, the regimen, it gives me a sense of relief. It gives me a sense of, I know what's next. I like to stay on track. I like, the physical aspect of working out is like, that's the closest thing that reminds me to dance, to dance class as a child. So that is very easy to do for me. I appreciate sweating. I appreciate working hard, feeling my heart pumping. It reminds me I am alive, and what a gift to have a heart that is pumping and circulating blood throughout my body. It feels so good. But did I feel that way all the time? No. I mean, just like everything, we must train, practice. Makes the progress, right? Never perfection. So I appreciate and enjoy my routines, and they keep me going. And, like you, Cara, we are givers. We are givers.
Yes.
There's a lot of output. And like I'm going to say all females out there, but really all humans, many of us are just inclined to give and give and give. And we can't give if we're not filling our tank, right, with love and care and tenderness and space and grace. So this discipline schedule that I'm on, it's how I'm able to show up for people in my life.
I love that.
Foremost, me.
Yeah, and it's important, and it's a lesson that I continue to learn. I'm always pulled in many directions. I feel as a mom, a business owner, speaking, writing my book, and it's like, how do you find really your calling while also maintaining your responsibilities and also what you want to do in life? Like, I love my children dearly. I want to be with them. And, everyone has different challenges. We're all pulled in different directions, but you really nailed it when you said self-care, right? Like, it's not selfish. It's about self-care, knowing and understanding what you need to function and tick. Myself, every night, I love to have a bath. I light candles. It's like I do a little ceremony for myself.
Yeah.
I put bath bombs, salts, and every time I light it, I set an intention. And when I blow out my candles, I say a prayer and like a word. And sometimes it's for other people, sometimes it's for myself. But it's like that signals to my brain, okay, it's time to chill. I listen to spa music, get in the zone, and then I watch Netflix to numb my brain, and then I go to bed. That's my
routine. I love
yeah.
it. And that makes sense because of how you show up for all of us in your life.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, it's an interesting concept when we give so much, right? When we're givers, and how do we recharge and replenish so we can continue? And I think it's a conversation that a lot of us don't have. I talk about the messy middle in my book, that change is often a messy part of life, and it's because we're stepping into the next version of ourselves. Can you talk a little bit about the many different versions of yourself that you've met along the way, and who you are becoming as well?
Oh, wow. What a great question, Cara.
Thank you, Mary.
And I also just want to say, I love that messy middle. Middle. Boy, I know her. I know her well. I grew up as the fourth child out of five in a very busy entrepreneurial home. Two working parents growing a business, in addition to my father having, he was a teacher, 9 to 5 job, taught driver's ed at night. I mean, doing anything they could to raise us as best they could, which was phenomenally. My parents are incredible. But I was always as number 4 out of 5. I've held the title that I pointed to myself. No one gave me this role of peaceful middle person, just like peacemaker and middleman who's trying to put maybe a fire out here, give a massage to my older sister there, make everyone feel as amazing as they could. And what I realized that served a lot was my ego, was myself giving me purpose, I felt like that was a way people could then say, oh, wow, how helpful are you, Mary? What a nice young girl. So, and it's just so interesting. Well, how do we learn that? It's like, how can I get attention? Right. Oh, let me try this. And it felt amazing. And that's the thing. When I give, still to this day, it feels so great to give, to make someone's day better, to lift their spirits, to say some words that I mean, that are true, and they walk away feeling lighter. That gives me a lot of satisfaction. But it's interesting how where that starts, and through years of, therapy, let's be honest, I've had lots of therapy in my life. I realized, oh, wow, that's where that started. Good to know. And I still love that little girl. But we have some healthier boundaries now, Miss Cara.
Yeah.
And then the artist side of me, I've got this crazy, excitable. I went through a period of wanting to be in the spotlight, enjoying the attention, the curtain calls, the bows, going out of a stage door, a short period of time where I was finding what I was great at. Right. And I was great because I loved it so much and I trained so hard. And so that felt so amazing. And that was another version of myself. And as I've matured and as my career has shifted, which has felt really incredible to go more into the darkness of the theater, right? Creating it, but not being in that light. As I've matured, I feel very uncomfortable actually in the spotlight. And I tend to deflect when given praise. I tend to want to make it about the other person. But I will say that in that, I feel very, very proud of the work that I do. I just don't want that attention anymore. I want to put it on someone else. I feel very, very blessed with the things I've gotten to experience and jobs and people. So there's so many, it's so interesting how many versions there are of ourselves.
Yes.
And that's sort of where I am now. I'm just like very happy to be an introvert, extrovert for work, introvert by nature. And I'm enjoying that quieter part more than I think much more than standing on a stage.
It's so fascinating. Mary, you mentioned, you're more comfortable or it's not as comfortable getting a compliment and making it about the other person. And this is actually a trait that's studied in science. And there's a lot of research around how we're more comfortable doing pity parties of like how crappy our life is than celebrating our wins and having, wonderful opportunities to celebrate. And as women, we feel like we're almost bragging and I think that's why I didn't know how cool and amazing you were, is because you don't brag. And I would be like, hey, did you see that I was on this episode? You gotta watch it. No. But I do think it's this, and challenge me if you think it's different. But I think that a lot of us were brought up that way, and if you're a dancer and you're a lead dancer and you're very good, I did professional dancing as well, not on Broadway. I was in Mexico and the Dominican Republic
Which
and
is
did
amazing.
music videos, and had lots of fun. But
Yeah.
as the lead dancer, I loved it, right? Like I loved working hard and being rewarded and getting these extra parts. And you kind of attach your identity to being a lead dancer if you're a lead dancer, as an example. Um, and it's an expectation that you're supposed to be really good. And so when you're not really good, it can impact your identity as well. But a lot of women, especially, we're not taught to stand proud and like let it land, I say. When you're given a compliment, like let it land. And the best example I can give is, you go shopping, you buy an outfit and your girlfriend says, "Oh, Mary, I love your outfit." And you're like, "Oh, thanks. I got it like $20 holler on sale." And like, we always discount ourselves. It's like, we're not worthy to go, "Yeah, I spent $500. It looks great. I feel great." And we
Right.
don't know how to just say thank you and
Mm.
not say, "Oh, I love your outfit too," but just to say thank you. And it's something that I'm working on with my dancers, with my daughter, with myself, is that when we see people, giving and receiving is like a full circle. And so when we give a compliment and it's not fully received, the cycle ends there. But if we give a compliment and it's received and fully received, then the cycle continues, right? Give and receive, give and receive. And so we're actually doing a disservice to ourselves by not letting it land, and also a disservice to the other person because they're, without knowing, of course, this is not intentional. Um, and I want to know, like, why do you think that is? As a successful, highly accomplished, ambitious woman, why do we have this?
I don't know for the majority of people how they feel, but I will speak like for myself. I feel like I have an understanding and an appreciation for my gifts. So I've gone through a period where I know how hard I've worked to achieve what I've received, right? And so I feel like if we as women, as humans, can, as we travel through these experiences and we hit these milestones, whatever they are for us and individually, for us to have for me, it's a quiet moment. It's a quiet moment of inhale, exhale, and thanking, thanking myself for the experience of working so hard and achieving something so difficult, and thanking everyone that helped me get to this moment. I love to live inside of gratitude. And I find that if you practice it every single day along the way, then you don't need this. There doesn't need to be a huge moment and a huge acceptance speech for the years and years you've been working. You know what I mean? You've been working goal. I find that for me, not to say, well, I know, but I mean, I feel that as well. And I'm always working on practicing saying thank you. Thank you so much before I then ask a question about them. That is something that we do have to work harder at. But I think that if we can enjoy the process more and give ourselves that pat on the back. My grandmother used to always kiss her hand and go, right there, pat on the back. And she'd say, "I love myself," right?
I love that.
I love myself. And I mean, come on now. Like, this woman did that for so many years when women were not operating in that way. And
Yeah.
operating in that way and demonstrated that, which I was always very grateful for. But I know the tendency is it's hard for people to stand and step into their power and into that light and soak in the hard work, the blood, the sweat and tears to get to whatever moment they have achieved. It's really hard for people. It's also really hard for people to look in the mirror and to love what they see.
Yeah.
And as dancers, we train in front of the mirror. So if you're not comfortable in front of that mirror and you're not comfortable going, "Wow, that was awesome. I just nailed that."
Yeah.
It's tricky, right?
Yeah. You mentioned the act of constant gratitude for yourself. And I love that. And I think the older I get, the more I take moments just for myself. So I'll, something will come up. It's a great win. And I like put my hand on my heart and I'm like, wow. And I take it in by myself for myself.
Yes.
And it's like, I don't need to phone anyone and tell someone. I don't need to celebrate it, but I let it land and I go, holy crap, I just did this for myself. Often I'll call my sister because we can celebrate the wins. We can cry over the losses. You have that person, or you have a few best friends that you can do that. And I want women to know, and men to know too, that it's healthy. Like, it's healthy to validate yourself for your accomplishments, not to identify yourself by your accomplishments, but to have an external, like, you're not just what you do in life, but I think you are who you show up to be. And I like the analogy that you said, you're extrovert for work and introvert. And I believe I'm the same. Like, I will be, with my people, fully present, love all the groups, love, speaking on stages, talking to people. But then when I'm done, I'm like, oh man, I need a bath and I need to chill and dial down. I can't go for dinner and celebrate. I'm like, no, I'm like negative. I got negative energy because you're so present. And I think when we're so present, the amount of energy it requires to stand in presence and to be fully aware and to it's like all your senses are so heightened.
Yes.
And you're paying attention to people and energy and feelings. And I know you're an empath as well, and you experience people differently. And so it is important to, honor your boundaries, get that self-care, figure out what you need, and do that. So I love that. Mary, when you're making a big change in your life, or when you're coaching dancers to step out and do things differently, and we're really talking about a big change that feels scary or risky, what are some of the emotions that you experience, and how do you coach people through that?
Fear right away. Fear is the first emotion that I feel when I'm about to make a big change. It feels like, how do I know what that's going to be if I've never done it? So the immediate fear kicks in for me. And it is, I think, the natural progression for me to, there's the self-doubt right away, because I've never experienced it. I've never done it. I don't know the outcome. And that's hard for anyone that had, that could be possibly like me, a little type A. Don't know. But that fear kicks in, and then the self-doubt kicks in, which I appreciate, because then the next phase for me is I have to coach myself through it, right? And this is the only way I can even show up to coach other people through anything. And I have to say, okay, what have you experienced before that could be like this? How did it go? How did you show up, and how did it turn out? And the older we get, the more experiences we have, I feel like there's more to draw on. We've got more tools in our toolkit, and that kit then becomes a huge toolbox, and then a tool shed, and then the size of a house. We have memories and experiences. We can say, you know what, this sort of reminds me of when I was 17 and I thought I was going to go to the college of my dreams, and then at the last minute this changed, and then this person, and so I find that the younger version of myself, it felt really, really scary. As I get older, I'm 44 now, and I've been through a lot, and I'm not at the end of my road by any means, but I feel like I have so much to draw on. That it's exciting, right? So I have the fear, there's the little self-doubt. Then I sit in that process of like, okay, well, chatting on a podcast is just like when I also had to go on, write something to it. So it calms my nerves, and then excitement kicks in. And that's what makes me, I think, an entrepreneur, and like someone who enjoys adventure. I now am embracing the exciting element of the change and not knowing what's next. Then it feels like, oh, this is a fun game. This is a fun game, and I'm about to learn a lot. I'm going to learn a lot about myself, about this experience, and how is this going to now affect the rest of my journey? Change has become more exciting than fearful. And I do think that we're all capable of that mindset shift. So then when I'm coaching others, I'll share with them my process, and I'll be able to ask them questions like I ask myself. Well, what's the most similar experience to this thing that feels so scary, right? Whatever, leaving your husband, leaving your job, whatever it is. And then I mean, listen, I had never lost a husband before. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, there are certain things that there is nothing to compare it to.
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned from that is through time and through care and through community and the arts and back to time again, back to time, you can heal. So it's just amazing how I embrace change now and can quickly get out of that scary stuff, fear part that I remember living in for a long time when I was younger. So
Yeah. Thank you, Mary, for being so honest about that. It's interesting you said you start with fear and then you go to excitement, because fear and excitement are the same chemical reactions in the body. So physiologically, it's the exact same process, what lights up in our brain, the chemicals that are released. And science shows that it takes us as humans 7 to 10 seconds to process an emotion. So often when we have fear, we just got to count to 10. And the chemical reaction in our body of fear goes through our body in 10 seconds. And when my dancers say, I'm so nervous, I say, you're so excited. You're so excited. This is so exciting. And it's our mind that labels and our brain labels it. If we're going to choose fear, we're going to choose excitement. Now, it sounds easier than it actually is, right? It is hard. When you're going through something hard and you have fear, it's really hard to be like, I'm excited. But just the understanding that it's the same physiological response in the body is very profound to go, okay, and it takes 10 seconds. And most people, they'll try any emotion. So if we're experiencing sadness, we block sadness. We don't want to feel sad. And so you have 2 seconds of sadness and you try to stop crying or whatever it is. It only takes 10 seconds to go through the body. And if we don't process our emotions, we have a buildup, and there's so much research that says the body keeps a score, right? Like there's a book even called that, and it lands in your body and it becomes blocks and all of that. So it's fascinating, the emotions, and it's fascinating how we have to embrace fear to move forward and get to the other side of the next chapter for us.
Okay, I just learned so much. Thank you, Cara.
Whatever I could do for you, Mary.
I definitely took my biology regents exam 3 times. Science is not, I believe in it wholeheartedly, but it's not, those are not facts I would have ever known. So thank you for making sense of my instincts.
Yeah. You're dead on. You're dead on with your instincts.
Really fascinating. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Let's talk about instincts, Mary, because I feel like you have great intuition and great instincts. You trust your gut. And I don't know if it was always like that for you, but I would love to kind of share with the listeners, how do you really trust your gut? What do you tap into? How do you listen to your intuition? How does it guide you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I grew up taking acting classes. I grew up as falling in love equally with dance as I did with performing and telling stories through text, through words. And you learn very quickly in acting, there are 2 approaches. You can work from the outside in, or you can work from the inside out. And preferably, I as an actress, I always wanted to work from the inside out, as it always feels more organic, the performance, the delivery, the scene work, the monologue. And that stuck with me at a very young age, working from the inside out. And I've never actually thought of this or said this out loud, but that's the first thing that's popping in my mind right now. I think that transcended and transformed into my life's. I do agree that I've got some strong instincts, and I think it is due to training as an actress, and having to listen and process and feel and organically deliver, preferably from the inside out if you're able. So taking those moments, right? Not speaking right away, hearing the question, taking time to process, having the thought, taking a few moments, which sometimes can feel like an hour before you speak. And I'm a thinker, I'm a processor, I'm a very thoughtful person. There's not a moment like I run my day in constant thought, in constant scenarios. And I do think that having touch with my mind, my heart, my soul, my gut, my guttural. I mean, that connection can be learned. If it feels foreign, it's inside of all of us. I believe it. You just need to get comfortable. You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Yes.
But that acting training, I without realizing it, we had to learn that early on in order to deliver an honest scene and performance. So I do owe a lot of my instincts to my training actor and as a dancer, right? It's like we're moving through space and the music's moving quickly and there are no words. Okay. There's a moment where if you are not on exactly your number at your depth mark, coming out of the wing at the top of the breath of the vocalist, you're about to get hit, or you're going to fall off the stair, or you're going to fall into a pit, or you're not going to get caught in that moment with your partner, the catch, the throw. So as artists, we must be in tune with our instincts. But I believe as for non-artists or just appreciative artists, it's something we can work on. We can hone. We can focus what we focus on. We improve, right?
Yeah, totally. Mary, you talked about this a little earlier, and I wanted to kind of circle back on being stuck. And when we're stuck in life, I believe that it's a disconnection between the mind, body, and soul. And in your case, mind, body, soul, gut. And often when we feel stuck in life, you'll take the first step. We realize we're stuck. We wait to feel ready, wait to feel confident, and then we take action. And I believe that the model of confidence is backwards, that we got to start with action. We develop our confidence, we feel ready, and we get unstuck, but we get unstuck last. And everybody wants to get unstuck first before they step out of the wings and take center stage to their life, right?
Yeah. I love
but when you're talking about like listening to your intuition and having that connection with mind, body, soul, I think it's 100% that. And I think sometimes we're too, myself included, I'm too in my mind. I'm not trusting my heart, or I'm too analytical and I need to get dropped back to my being or my feeling. But talk to me about how profound the mind-body connection is.
It's everything. I mean, when I lose touch, which I do, right? Right now, in these past couple weeks, I have lost touch with that mind, body, soul, gut. If I spend too many moments or days, God forbid, not in touch with that mind, body, soul, gut, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. I feel like my work is poor. My performance is poor. My engagements and communications are forced. And everything feels hard and heavy. When I can connect to my breath, when I can connect and quiet my mind, when I can take healthy action steps, leading me toward whatever my goal is. If I can clear that lens on what is that goal and start to work backward in that way, then, and to get connected to her up here and here, down here, everything feels lighter and smooth, and it feels like a dance that is effortless.
I love that.
It's connected. It's like asking me to wake up out of bed and go back to my Rockette days and kick 450 times without warming up, without a proper breakfast, without a bath, without, without, you know what I mean? Icing my body. I mean, it just feels impossible.
Yeah.
So it's just keeping her in check. And again, it's a practice. It's a discipline.
It's a practice and a discipline. I love that. Mary, we're going to wrap up shortly, and I wanted to talk about the importance of courage. I believe that we need more courage in life. We don't need confidence. Confidence is developed through acts of courage.
Yes.
And whatever we want is always on the other side of our fear. And we have to learn to embrace fear. And we learn by embracing fear by flexing our courage muscle. And I think it's something we need to do daily. It's a practice. Just like we work out, we work our muscles, we got to work our courage muscle as well. Talk to me about how you would define courage and how do you use your courage?
Well, I would define courage as are we ever 100% brave without question and self-doubt? I don't believe so. I think anyone who says that is telling a lie. Courage is something that I experience when I feel that I'm about to make the right decision. And my father always said, Mary, when you're at a crossroads, when you're about to make a big freaking change, right? Whatever it is, when you're at that moment, the hardest decision is always the right decision. So if I can intellectualize what I'm about to do and understand that it's leading me toward the greater good, right? For myself, for my people, for my business, for my family. If I understand my why, I can feel brave because I know why. I know why this is important. Therefore, I understand that courage is needed because this is a hard moment. And if it wasn't a hard moment, it wasn't about to lead to something greater. So I appreciate the courage that I have felt throughout my life. And I also appreciate when I didn't have it. I've had so many moments, when my husband passed, I felt the courage at 0, fear at 1,000,000, the unknown, the uncertain, everything, that type of change. When I bought my parents' business, I felt fear at 1,000,000, courage at 0, right? So I know what that ground zero part is and how that feels. And we like you said, we flex it. We flex that muscle, that courage muscle. And through experiences by looking back at past experiences and saying, man, I did that really hard thing. And you may have been 6 and it was getting stitches, when you off your bunk bed. But every single experience, and that's why I love the gift of having memory, right? And I feel so, it breaks my heart to think about a world where you could lose that. And possible that is through family and friends, but to draw on those experiences, those core memories, it makes me feel brave and like I can do it because I've remembered my why. I've gone through the process in my mind. I've intellectualized it. And now we move forward. And like you said, it's that same scientific,
physiological response.
Physiological response. But that makes so much sense, Cara, because I do feel a sense of excitement in being brave and leading the way and showing my niece what bravery can look like and how it can be messy looking. It can feel messy, but you can still be brave through that messiness.
I love that. Mary, in my book, I talk about we wait to feel confident because that's what we think it is. But confidence defined in psychology through the wheel of emotions, it's defined as feeling brave, powerful, positive, and proud. And those are the characteristics that we all want to feel, but we don't, we just think it's like, I want to feel confident. And when you really get deep into what's holding us all back is we are scared of the unknown because we want to feel brave. We want to feel powerful. We want to feel positive. We want to feel proud. And I hope you feel proud of yourself, sister, because when I read your bio, it's like, wow, like your life has been fascinating and it hasn't come from lack of hardships. And I think something that I'm learning now in this chapter of my life is some of the most incredible, inspiring people that I look up to, they have so many hardships in their life, and it creates new layers to them, new levels, new wisdom, new understanding, new compassion. And I think you embody all those beautiful traits. So I just thank you for sharing this time. Thank you for bringing light to so many people. I have fun with you. I could laugh with you. I can have deep conversations with you. And I just really appreciate you. So thank you for sharing this. Is there anything else you wish to share with the listeners?
Thank you, Cara. That was, and I appreciate every word you just said. I think the last thing I just would like to say, and this is a testament to how I feel about you, is must surround ourselves with people that make us feel joyful, creative, confident, brave, and vulnerable. When you can start to take those steps in who you surround yourself with, and surrounding yourself with all of those qualities that we hope to be. And when you can surround yourself with those people like we have with each other,
that's magic, Mary. It's magic.
And it norms. You norm it. And once you norm something, everything is possible. Everything is possible. So
I love that.
So grateful. Cara, thank you for having me on the show. Everyone read this book. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mary, where can people find you if they want to see what you're up to and support any of your initiatives moving forward?
Thank you. I'm on Instagram, Mary Giattino, 2 T's. I'm also, my website is marygiattino.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary. And listeners, remember, we need to stop waiting to feel ready, and we need to start taking action today. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would be so grateful if you could share it with someone else that could benefit from it. Let's remember to change our relationship to change itself and take aligned action. If we want to make meaningful changes in our lives, we need to embrace stepping into the next version of ourselves in the process. Remember, stop waiting to feel ready and start taking action today.